It's really warm here
There
today
you
in New
go.
Jersey, so we have the windows open in the living room.
Oh,
So
same.
if
It's nice here too.
but if there's any if my mic picks up any outside noise, just let me know. I can close the window.
All right, I'm ready. You guys ready?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, welcome everybody to Frank Analysis. I'm your host, Franco. I am pleased to be joined by Misty Winston and Jesse Zerwell of Facts on the Ground. We are the new additions to the MCSC network. So Misty and Jesse, how does that feel, guys? How does it feel to be a part of that network now?
Misty?
I think it's amazing. I'm really glad that, first of all, we all kind of just organically came together through different relationships. Like we all have like this weird, like meeting each other story where, it wasn't like any one thing. It was just over time, we all kind of, came together. I have been saying for a long time that, as everybody knows, I'm kind of a geek about independent media. And so I have been saying for a long time that we need to kind of band together because there's strength in numbers. And I mean, we've seen it over the past, really, it's been going on for a while, but it's really amped over the past like 6 months or so, the censorship on independent media. So I love the fact that we're banding together and that we can help each other out. I feel really good about it and I love everybody involved. So I'm really excited.
I'll just second what everything Misty just said and add to that I am super excited and also a little caught off guard because I never expected anyone to pay attention to the show when I started it. Not in a woe is me way, but everybody and their mother has a show now, and it's really hard to get traction and to get viewers. And I'm psyched that people of your pedigree, Franco, of Nico's, of everybody who's involved with MCSC sees something in the show. I'm psyched that Misty saw something and was courageous enough to join me on screen. So it feels like a victory of some sort. And it feels like there's, with regard to the whole strength and numbers thing, that there is a new sort of independent media movement building, one that's not rejecting other independent media outlets necessarily, but that is taking so-called independent media outlets to task because a lot of them seem to be slipping. And it feels good to be part of a vanguard of sorts, although I say that not in a snobby sense.
We definitely have to hold some people accountable, and I think that the audience members help with that too. I think that out of all independent content creators, I think that us in the MCSC network, even before we joined, we were the most in touch with our audience members. And I feel like we were already a part of it because we were already close with each other. We would already communicate with each other like off camera. So it's organic. We got to know each other before we officially joined. But yeah, I wanna start out the show by talking about something that is overlooked a lot by a lot of independent channels, especially in the TYT realm, which is foreign policy. So Ben Norton tweeted this out, and let me share this for everybody. It said the Biden administration is continuing Trump's murderous criminal regime change war on Venezuela's elected government. Here, the spokesperson of the Biden State Department, former CIA agent Ned Price, makes that clear. When it comes to U.S. imperialism in Latin America, there's absolutely no difference. So let me zoom this in for everybody. So here's the question that was asked to him. It said, staying in Latin America, is it fair to say that the Biden administration is pursuing regime change in Venezuela? And then Mr. Price gave a long word salad. He said, it is fair to say that the Biden administration supports the democratic aspirations of the people of Venezuela. Our overriding goal is to support a peaceful democratic transition in Venezuela through free and fair presidential and parliamentary elections, and to help the Venezuelan people rebuild their lives and their country. Isn't that nice? They care about the people so much.
Oh my God, it's such bullshit. God, that's a lot of bullshit.
We know at the root of much of the misery, of the suffering of the people of Venezuela stands one individual. And we have been very clear that Nicolas Maduro is a dictator. It's always just that one boogeyman that we have to go after. His actions have not been in the best interest of the people of Venezuela. It hasn't just been the United States that has been saying that. It has been the United States and many of our closest partners, both in the region and well beyond. And then
the U.S. doesn't have many close partners in the region anymore.
Yeah. And so then the next question that they ask is like, so basically, it's basically a nicer way of saying that Maduro must go. And then he gives another word salad, Mr. Price. He says, we believe and we support the democratic aspirations of the people of Venezuela. That is why we are committed to supporting the people through humanitarian measures and also targeting regime officials and their cronies involved in human rights abuses and corruption. So we're going after the big bad, right?
Yeah. Well, anytime the United States uses humanitarian, you should be very concerned because that means they're coming for you. They are coming to overthrow your government or bomb your country or steal your natural resources. That's what that means, really. Generally speaking, there is no, and the fact that it still like baffles me that anything United States has any moral standing whatsoever to call anybody out for human rights abuses ever again, ever. Like we don't have that's not a thing. We can't do that. We're the worst.
I spent a bit of time looking at this screenshot that you sent, Franco, and analyzing the double speak in it. And Mr. Price first answers, it is fair to say, this is in response to the question, staying in Latin America, is it fair to say that the Biden administration is pursuing regime change in Venezuela? Mr. Price, it is fair to say that the Biden administration supports the democratic aspirations of the people of Venezuela. So Mr. Price doesn't say no, but turns regime change on its head into supporting the democratic aspirations of the people of Venezuela. So loads the deck from the start with the answer to that question, and then continues to use the buzzwords and phrases, peaceful democratic transition, misery and the suffering of the people of Venezuela. Maduro is a dictator. His actions have not been in the best interests of the people of Venezuela, as if the U.S.'s actions have been in the best interests of Venezuela. And it hasn't just been the U.S. that has been saying that. It has been the United States and many of our closest partners, both in the region and well beyond. Well, who? Why don't you list them if there's such a vast array of them? So it's basically a nicer way of saying Maduro must go. And again, we believe and we support the democratic aspirations of the people of Venezuela. He doesn't say no. And then he says, we're committed to humanitarian measures for the Venezuelan people, which I think any fair
while we sanction them.
That's what I was going to say, is that humanitarian measures is a hideous euphemism for sanctions, and not just economic sanctions, but economic sanctions that cost people their lives. And the almost robotic disinterest with which Mr. Price responds here it's almost unbelievable, but that's
plenty
how
of scientific evidence also showing that how those sanctions are killing people there. But yeah, this I'm gonna show everybody pretty much like what they're plotting right now. So
I would just say the Biden administration's approach so far has been horrendous, but I'm not surprised, and I expect more of the same.
Of course. So here's an article by Max Blumenthal and Anya Parampil of The Gray Zone. It says U.S. virtual ambassador to Venezuela hosts insurrectionist summit ahead of Biden's Guaido recognition. So the Gray Zone, they attempted to ask this guy named James Story, the U.S.'s virtual ambassador to Venezuela, questions about a closed-door summit that he hosted between February 19th and 26th at the Bogota Marriott Hotel in Colombia. Because the guy, he's not in Venezuela anymore. He's working in Colombia. He's now based in Colombia, where he's scheming over there. I want to note that James Story has not worked inside of Venezuela since March 2019. He's been in Colombia since then. This is after he posted pictures promoting Guaido, and he was promoting the multi-million-dollar bounty that the Trump administration placed on President Maduro and other political allies, alleging them of having ties to a drug cartel, which there's very little evidence of showing how that cartel even exists. In the meeting that they had, the people who went were fugitive Venezuelan insurrectionists. Also, they were far-right opposition leaders. They were all scheming about the next U.S.-backed regime change operation against elected leftist government in Venezuela. So the details about this meeting were leaked to Venezuela's government, to the Venezuelan government, by a Colombian official. So here's what the Gray Zone wrote. They quoted Jorge Rodriguez saying, "Here is the agenda from the meeting that someone from the Duque government, angered that this is taking place on their soil, sent us." And that's what he tweeted on February 22nd. The tweet was accompanied by a screenshot of a document which outlined the itinerary of the conference, which was called Visit of the Venezuelan Presidential Commission. According to Rodriguez, the summit's attendees included right-wing opposition leader Leopoldo Lopez, attorney and former lawmaker Julio Borges, and former Exxon lawyer Carlos Vecchio, who now serve as ambassador for Guaido in Washington. All three of these men, they're evading either criminal charges or prison sentences in Venezuela for crimes ranging from incitement of violence to participation in attempts to assassinate President Nicolas Maduro. The event, and I also want to point this out, the event highlighted Story as the Biden administration's de facto manager of the radical wing of Venezuela's opposition that seeks regime change at all costs. The apparent outcome of the meeting suggested he has played a pivotal role in ensuring continuity between the Trump and Biden administrations on Venezuela. And also on March 2nd, that's when Antony Blinken said that they recognize Guaido as the interim president. So absolutely no change. And this was predicted already. So guys, what are your thoughts on this?
It's the same language we've been hearing since early 2019. And if it weren't costing the lives of so many Venezuelans, it would be hilarious that they've been at this for 2 years and just failing perpetually. And as Max and Anya and Ben at the Gray Zone have been really good about reporting on, we see these people for who they are. We see Guaido riding around Caracas on the back of a motorcycle or a moped for either transportation or some PR stunt. I don't know which it was. Maybe it was both. We see the same names getting recycled, the same regime change fanatics getting recycled. Carlos Vecchio, Leopoldo Lopez. And the fact that none of these people has had to pay a price for the crimes they've committed is why they're able to keep coming back around, and why they're able to keep pursuing what's never going to be successful. I don't know the latest poll numbers, but from what I last read, it's still, even the opposition to Maduro in Venezuela, a lot of them do not want regime change of any kind, whether it comes from the US or another Western power or any foreign power. They want to be left alone to figure out their affairs for themselves. That's the bottom line. But as in the Middle East, we can't seem to let them do that.
No, they have natural resources we need. It's really depressing. Like, to me, this is just really depressing because, I mean, I say this all the time. How many times does your government get to lie to you before your sense of skepticism kicks in? I mean, this is so obvious. It's blatant. It's right in your face. They're really not hiding it. I mean, yeah, they're doing the propaganda shit and they're spinning it and all of that to the best that they can. But it's just really depressing to me that so many people still fall for this stuff and that still put any credibility to anything the United States government does anywhere anymore. I mean, even our own, I mean, I understand Steve Poikonen says all the time, the United States is the most propagandized country on earth. He's absolutely right. And I get that. Like, I understand that propaganda is very powerful, but it really is just depressing that it's so blatant. It's so obvious, and they still get away with it over and over. It's not like this is something new. This is what we do. It's like the same playbook over and over and over again. I mean, there's little tweaks here and there, you know, they got to switch it up, you know, based on different geopolitical stuff and, you know, all of that. But for the most part, it's the same thing. This is what we do everywhere. And it's just depressing that we continue to be able to pull this shit off in broad daylight. It's crazy.
So go ahead, Jesse.
Part of it, I think a big part of it too is that it's rarely in the news cycle anymore, in the mainstream news cycle. In early 2019, it was in the mainstream news cycle a lot. Now we barely hear anything, if anything, about it. And so people, understandably, I suppose, forget about it. But I think it indicates a failure, a huge failure on the part of mainstream media, that it was, you know, a so-called hot button issue, as they like to say, for a few months, and then they dropped it once there was nothing.
And some independent media too. Some independent media needs to take some accountability too.
Right, and it's that lack of coverage, that willful lack of coverage, that on purpose lack of coverage, that is why a big reason why Biden's administration has been able to get away with what it's gotten away with so far, vis-a-vis Venezuela, and why it's going to get away with a lot more, because it's not on people's radars, and it's not entirely it's not their fault entirely. I'm not blaming anybody for not knowing anything about Venezuela, but you know, mainstream media is mostly to blame, since that's primarily the media that Americans consume. So it's no wonder that there's a dearth of knowledge about what the U.S. has been doing and is continuing to do to Venezuela in the U.S.
Some people should know better, though. Like, if they're in a position of delivering the news and criticizing the mainstream media, then they should be talking about this, and they should be more informed about this. It's not that hard. Just find the right outlets and be around the right people, and this information will come to you. So that people wonder why we call out other commentators and other journalists. It's because they're doing a shitty job at informing the people, and then you wonder why we can't get anything done fast enough, right? Mm-hmm.
Well, it's really like it's all intertwined. Like, it gets to this point where it becomes access journalism. And so you can't really separate like the political sphere from the media sphere. It is all intertwined. And so if you're going to hold politicians accountable, then you also need to be holding the content creators that run cover for them accountable. You know, like they have some responsibility in that. They have some, and it's the same thing with on issues that they don't cover. I mean, if you want like the reason everybody wanted independent media was because we needed voices covering things that aren't being covered. And so if your favorite content creator strays from that, or isn't doing that job, or is continuing the same kind of mainstream narratives, you know, with just the occasional cuss word thrown in, and basically their entire show is like show a mainstream media clip and then commentate on, you know, whatever it was, and that's like their whole thing. You need to be holding them accountable. Like we can't afford for independent media just to become mainstream media light. Like, we have to push you know, independent media more, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And right now, one of the things that they're not criticizing, some of these politicians that we're supposed to be criticizing is on that recent relief bill that doesn't even really relieve people of anything. So that new COVID bill, it's not a progressive victory, even though Pramila Jayapal and Bernie Sanders are calling it. No incremental policy is ever a victory, ever. There's no $15 minimum wage, which is the bare minimum, and AOC said that she was going to fight for it. There's the stimulus check was reduced from $2,000 to $1,400. I'm sure people have seen that video already of that music playing in the background as Biden saying that those $2,000 checks are going to go right out the door, and that one guy from Georgia also saying that if you vote for him, then there will be $2,000 checks. They said it so many times, and then they don't have it. They don't have it. They didn't deliver.
And not only
it.
is it now 1,400, but less people will be getting it.
Yeah.
They've means tested it, and they've cut a bunch of people off. And so it's less people are going to be getting the relief of $1,400. Oh my God, this pisses me off.
Yeah,
we are almost a year into sorry, this is going to be a rant, Franco. I'm sorry, but this fires me up. But we are almost a year into, and this is whatever you think of COVID, whether you think it's real or a hoax or whatever, I don't give a fuck. The fact is that it has completely upended our society and our economics and everything. And so the fact that we are nearly a year into something that significant, and Joe Biden is only giving you $1,400, a one-time, not monthly, a one-time payment of $1,400. And this is something that you have to beg progressives to fight for. That's fucking ridiculous. That's insane. What is wrong with people that's what they're willing to accept? This is the United States of America. And I am in no way patriotic. I think patriotism is super weird. But this is not a pride thing. This is a pragmatism thing. This is the United States of America. We can afford to take care of our fucking people. That's not a question. We could we just shovel trillions of dollars to Wall Street regularly, or the military industrial complex all the time. No question, no debate. There's no vote. Everybody just does it. It's fine. And people just shrug their shoulders.
Yeah.
But $1,400, we have to beg for that in the middle of a global pandemic. Fuck off. You guys, that's not, why are you willing to accept that? Why are people not in the streets? This is the most unbelievably frustrating thing to me. I don't get it. I don't get the psychology behind, I think the American psyche has been beaten down so much that this is just what we think we deserve. This is it. It's the best we get, and we shouldn't question anything and just be grateful to the crumbs that we're given. Fuck that, dude. No.
Not only that, but the unemployment benefits were reduced from $400 to $300.
$300.
People think that this is normal. Yeah. So this is what pisses me off here. There's Pramila Jayapal. I'm putting up her tweet right now. She put up a poll.
That was thanks to Joe Manchin, who's apparently now a moderate Republican.
Yeah.
He's always
So here's the poll that Pramila Jayapal put up. It's the American Rescue Plan is a bold relief package that puts money in people's pockets. Which part are you most excited for? $1,400 survival checks, expected UI assistance, $3,000 child tax credit, more shots in arms. Which one are you guys most excited about, Misty and Jesse?
Well, I'll first say that the only thing bold about the act is that it may have some bold print in it, some bold type, as in not italic or regular, but bold. I don't think there's anything bold about this at all. It's totally a sellout, but a predictable sellout on the part of the Democrats. And I just wanted to get that in there.
Yeah.
So
and
what was your question again?
Yeah.
Which part of that are you most excited for?
I'm not excited about any of that, honestly, because like I said, it's fucking crumbs. And I can't get excited about that. I don't, it's an insult. It's insulting. It's insulting to me. Those tweets that they do, not just that one, but the ones what would $1,400 mean to you and your family? It's story time with the poors. Fuck off. You stop tweeting and either fight or go home. People are dying. People are struggling. struggling. They're losing their houses. They're losing their jobs. They can't feed their kids. Get in there and fucking do something about it, especially the progressives. I'm so tired of people making excuses for them. They're not doing shit for you. Nothing that they've promised. I mean, just a few months ago, AOC was like, yeah, but $15 an hour is so much more doable than Medicare for all. And, we have to wait for that. And we have to be strategic. She didn't fight one tiny bit for $15 an hour, not a little bit. So what are you defending? I don't understand the mentality behind these like hero worshiping dullards. Like, get it together. These people are not your friends and they're actively working against you. And you're cheering it on. It's weird.
Yeah. And Jamal Bowman, I believe his name is, recently tweeted out something about the Democrats' miserable performance, and that if you pair that with what they promised their constituents, then there's no way we're going to get, we being the Democrats, reelected. And I see that and think, why do you still want to play this fucking game? That's where the problem is the assumption that you keep having to play this game and that you're going to be able to change it in some fundamental way. And you're not. And all the examples were given from history, like FDR, who was actually a piece of shit in many ways, or JFK, from some of the more dullard-minded. But these are myths. These people were not transformational. Martin Luther King was transformational. Malcolm X was transformational. Fred Hampton was transformational. Leonard Peltier was transformational. Mumia Abu-Jamal, transformational. Emma Goldman. There's such
Eugene
a long
Debs.
Eugene Debs. There's such a long list. And the fact that we keep resorting to mainstream politics and politicians and their system, their Tammany Hall system, as a way we can find a better life for ourselves and for other human beings, is, I think we need to dispense with that. It's obviously not working.
Yeah, we're not taught about these heroes in history, and when we are, where they give us like a whitewash, like milquetoast perspective of them.
Yeah, that's what they always do. That's how, I mean, that really goes to the state of the education system in this country. I mean, we're not taught real history. Jesse and I have spoken about this on our show numerous times. We like to try to make connections to things because everything really is connected. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that we're facing, is that in this country, we have no idea where we came from. We really don't. Our history is completely whitewashed. It's manufactured. It's a fairy tale, really. And so if you don't start from truth, I mean, it's probably not going to end well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever. And also, I just checked your chat, Franco, and Jesse Jet is in the chat. And I just want to say hi, Jesse Jet, because he's amazing.
What's up,
you guys
Jesse?
should check out. Yeah, you guys should check out his music on Bandcamp. He's amazing. We just interviewed him. We did like this really like long marathon live stream where he performed live music, and it was so much fun.
That's what's up. Music helps connect people to.
Yes, and
to,
he's
like,
so talented.
Yeah,
he's really good.
Same thing with
definitely
comedy.
check his stuff out.
So there was someone in my who was like just blowing up my DMs, trying to like, how could you be like so mean to AOC? How could he was trying to argue with me about how this relief bill is like so amazing. Of course he watches Sam Cedar, he watches all those other milquetoast channels, the synthetic left, and he kept pressuring me. He's like, let me come on your show, let me debate you. I was like, all right. So I knew you guys were going to pack some heat. So I was like, all right, if you want to debate me, you don't mind debating also like my friends Misty and Jesse. We want to help people grow. So this person's going to be coming on the show right now. It's a surprise guest. His name is Sequoia Morewhite. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. But he is from Echo Park, Los Angeles. He is a member of DSA. He is part of Left is the Best Network. And he has a show called The Rational Humanist. Sequoia Morewhite, thank you very much for being here. How are you?
It's about time.
What do you mean?
Sorry to keep you waiting, Sequoia.
Good to see you guys. No. It's cool. I've just been looking forward to this.
Good to see you, Seki.
So wait, what's the name of your the rational?
The rational humanist, right?
Okay, because Jesse loves names like that. Jesse loves names like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I'm sorry. Who are you?
This is Misty Winston and Jesse Zerwell of Facts on the Ground.
I'm Putin's buddy. I'm actually. You can call me Mindy too.
I'm also. I can't remember all the derogatory things I've been called on Twitter.
Sequoia will come up with some more, I'm sure.
Yeah, please do.
So, welcome Sequoia Morway to the show. I understand we may have some disagreements, and I'd love to get on here and discuss with you and convince you that yes, the squad are sellouts, and them letting this new bill pass with no resistance at all, which included none of the things that they promised that they were going to fight for, like $15 minimum wage, the $2,000 checks, the decrease in unemployment benefits from $400 to $300. How is that at all defensible, Sequoia?
Well, there's a lot of hard work that goes into governance, Franco. It's a process, and when you get right into it, it's I'm pretty sure the American people don't want to know how the sausage gets made, but from what I understand, there were some backdoor concessions made that will certainly, in the long run, prove to be positive towards making serious efforts and steps towards realizing the $15 minimum an hour wage.
So what were those concessions, though? Because I was told that it was going to be like committee appointments. And actually, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said that one of those things would be $15 an hour minimum wage. So what happened to that?
So I am getting pretty tired of how everyone gangs up on AOC to make it to where it's all on her. And this is just one person with a congressional seat who has demonstrated time and time again that she's ready to take on the establishment, but we need to support her.
Okay, so let me interrupt you.
In office.
What has she done to show that?
No, well,
have you not seen her Twitch streams? Oh my God, they're to die for.
Right, pretty fierce, right? Okay, so you don't want me to focus on AOC. So let's talk about Ilhan Omar, because she recently said that once we have all of the Democrats have all of this power in government, all it will take is 5 or 6 really brave progressives to get things done. So why is Ilhan Omar not advocating for using those 5 or 6 brave progressives in order to push our agenda? That doesn't make any sense, because that's something that she just recently said was going to happen.
Okay, so it's not AOC. I'm not trying to interrupt you because you're a woman, but you did just use scare quotes, which I find to be violence. and I am a little bit offended at the thinly veiled Islamophobia that you're demonstrating when you criticize Representative Omar.
All right. Well, Sequoia, how do you defend this? Because this is the exchange that AOC had with Justin Jackson when she was saying that she wasn't going to vote for.
Let me ask, because I think this is an important question. Why is criticizing Ilhan Omar typically reflexively equated to Islamophobia, Sequoia?
Yeah, Sequoia.
Are you? I don't want to be ableist. So, are there problems with? Is there a problem with your vision? Do you have eye strain?
Not to my knowledge.
Because Ilhan Omar is a woman of color.
She's also a woman, though. Does that mean I'm sexist? Just because
I have seen your Twitter account, Mindy, and I have found it to be
who's Mindy?
Borderline sexist. I don't know if
women can be sexist to other women,
but you seem to. You seem to cheer for some of the more
like Fiorella Isabel.
I have never met a more sexist individual in my entire life than Fiorella Isabel of the Combo Couch.
I can't wait to tell her you said that. She's gonna love it. She like that's
Oh, no, because I'm going to meet them next week in Washington, D.C. I live in Georgetown. I don't know if this has been made clear. I know they introduced me as from Echo Park, and I am originally from Echo Park. But currently, I reside in Georgetown, so I plan on meeting them.
Yeah, it's an up and coming neighborhood.
So you'll be protesting for Julian Assange, and you'll be protesting against censorship then, since you'll be joining us at those protests? Because I'll be there too. I'm really excited to meet you.
I have a meeting with David Sirota. We're going to a late breakfast, and then I was going to stop by afterwards.
By late breakfast, do you mean brunch?
I've heard people refer it to that, yes.
I've heard he's a poached eggs fan.
So Sequoia, will you pressure AOC to speak out about Assange? Because this is the most important press freedom trial of our... Okay, well, the other members of the squad as well.
You're getting a little
I think it's terrible what is being done to Julian Assange, and I do think that there are ways we can go about pressuring our politicians. Has anyone tried tweeting at them?
No, we actually haven't thought of that. That's a really good idea, though.
I would do that. I would try tweeting at them, and then I would try emailing or calling their offices.
Wow, you are actually pretty good at this.
And let's say that we've already been doing that. Then what's the next step?
Well, I would imagine that you would probably petition Teen Vogue to see if they can get Julian on the cover.
Oh, everybody knows a strongly worded petition really works. That's definitely the most.
I assume that's the first thing you did. I mean, I thought you guys were professionals.
Yeah, we're definitely not professionals, but I appreciate the fact that you think that makes me feel pretty good about it. So yeah, are you going to be? You'll be joining our protests. Then you said you support Julian Assange. Will you be joining our protests and marching with us in DC?
Like I said, I have a
brunch,
late breakfast, and
don't you think freedom of speech is more important than brunch, though, Sequoia?
So how can I be a good advocate for free speech, or for Medicare for all, or for a $15 an hour minimum wage if I don't secure that blogging position at Daily Poster?
It's true.
That is true.
How are you going to get
I feel
how are you going to get your nuanced perspectives out there?
But Sequoia, if you don't have freedom of speech, then you probably aren't going to have Daily Poster or the ability to blog. So again, don't you think freedom of speech is more important than your brunch?
Well, again, how can I properly advocate if I don't have the logins to the WordPress site that Sirota is using for that blog?
Right.
Why don't you just work on exposing them for not speaking out about Assange?
Yeah, that would be good, because David Sirota sucks.
If we want genuine progressives in office, we can't destroy the ones that we already put there. We've got to focus our efforts on electing more and more progressive members of Congress.
What do you mean by progressive?
Well, haven't we been? I mean, don't we all want basically the same thing, like a Green New Deal and a livable wage, and
those are good buzzwords.
Health care for every
$15 an hour isn't even a livable wage, and we don't even get that.
And we can't even get progressives.
Let's be honest, we're not expecting people to live. I mean, we know. We're not expecting everyone
look, Sequoia,
to be able to afford, I mean, I have a roommate. I live in Georgetown. There's 17 of us sleeping in a 2-bedroom house just to afford to live here.
But Sequoia, look, this is what AOC said when she was in that back and forth with Justin Jackson. She said, in contrast, you can use leverage to push for things that can happen and change lives, i.e. a $15 minimum wage vote in the first 100 days. Doable. Elevating longtime progressive champions to important positions of leadership, also doable. That's the opportunity cost to weigh. But I mean, it doesn't seem like she's doing what she said is doable.
I feel like they advocated for that, and that it wasn't the right moment for it. So I'm sure we'll revisit it a couple of months down the road.
Will you circle back
and make another push for it?
going to circle back to that. But
that's a decent way of putting it. Yeah.
It's definitely in the pipeline, right?
But here's the thing, though. These are all, and especially $15 an hour minimum wage. Joe Biden himself ran on that. They have control over the House and the Senate, and they have the White House, and they have the ability to use, like Ilhan Omar said, their leverage of 5 or 6 brave progressives. I'm sorry to be violent again, Sequoia. I don't want to trigger you. But so why can't they fight for $15 an hour minimum wage and push Biden left? Again, sorry, I don't mean to trigger you, because that was their whole thing that they were going to do. And if they can't even do that on a thing that he ran on, what are they going to be able to push him on?
I feel like there has been significant movement in pushing Biden left in terms of some of his cabinet appointments or lack of cabinet appointments, because near attendance, not at budget. That was a huge win for progressives. And Joe Biden called off a drone strike because he didn't want to hurt a woman and her kid. And that never would have happened under Donald Trump. And it probably wouldn't have happened under Barack Obama either.
Was that before or after he illegally bombed Syria?
I'm sorry, what?
Was that before or after he illegally bombed Syria?
Same time. There were supposed to be 2 drone strikes, and he only did one because there was a woman and a child at the other location. But that's just
and that's the important. I feel like it. Look, we all know that the American war machine, it has been out of hand forever, and all of us would like to see a cessation to the end of the illegal wars in the Mideast.
Cessation of hostilities?
So why did AOC remain silent on the bombing of Syria? She still has yet to say anything about that. And she also regularly supports coup actions in Venezuela, Brazil. So why if foreign policy is important to you and ending the war machine, then why are you excusing AOC? On that?
Because I feel like the things that we need in this country right now, I mean, of course, you know, I would like to see more movement towards a huge reduction in military spending. I think we all would. But I think AOC's efforts can best be focused on domestic policy, because that's where we've really seen her shine.
So Sequoia, how is AOC any different from these neocons if she's not resisting these foreign policies?
Also, she majored in international relations at BU, so I think she has some idea of.
I mean, let's be honest. A major in international relations is only like second to easiest possible degree you can get after elementary school teacher.
I did not know that.
I think you may actually be somehow degrading a woman with that comment, Steve.
Yeah.
Some of my best friends are elementary school teachers, and they're downright giddy about how easy their degree was. It's the student loans they're having problems with.
So what is the squad doing about the student loan debt crisis?
Yeah, why don't we talk about the student debt crisis? Because that's another thing.
Let's talk about the student debt crisis.
Let's do that.
I'm all for putting pressure on our elected officials.
Sequoia, before we get into that, I want to ask you about Pramila Jayapal's comments on this bill that is passing or has passed. Did they pass it already? We know it's going.
Biden's refusing to sign it until Friday, tomorrow.
I've never actually taken questions from a train hopper before. This is delightful.
Oh, you're welcome. I've never hopped a train before, so I appreciate the street cred.
I've seen documentaries. You look very similar. I'm sorry if I assumed.
Yeah, we can Skype afterwards. So she's a Democratic congresswoman from Washington state, and the leader of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. And this is according to The Hill. And she said on Monday that she didn't think the changes pursued by the Senate centrists were good policy or good politics, but minimized them as, quote, relatively minor in the grand scheme of things, unquote. Would you agree with her?
I mean, that sounds like a reasonable quote to make, doesn't it? That sounds like a reasonable position to take. For
a sociopath?
So, Are you in any way, shape, or form qualified to diagnose mental disorders?
Yes, because I deal with a lot of them.
Where did you graduate?
I graduated from Yale. I was in the same class as Bush Jr.
I like a joke as much as the next guy, but I can't consider your opinion without the proper credentials. That's preposterous.
Have you seen Benjamin Button?
Oh, okay. But you're not an approved authority.
Benjamin, but is that a band?
Mm.
Like a train rider band?
No, he's
never heard of him.
He's an icon, as played by Bradley Pitt in the movie Benjamin Buttons.
I find Brad Pitt to be personally threatening, so I avoid his movies.
Oh.
Do you? Is it his eyes?
I only watch film in black and white, usually in another language, and only if it's a documentary or if it was made in the early era of film.
Oh,
Well,
okay. So can we get into student debt? Because I'd really like to hear your excuses for all of this, because this is another thing that Joe Biden proclaimed to at least kind of support. You know, he has kind of a weak ass policy position on it. But so let's talk about student debt. Why are the progressives not pushing Joe Biden left on the student debt crisis? And why wasn't that included in the COVID relief bill?
I feel like they're trying to pick their moment. I mean, personally, I held my nose for Joe Biden, but I didn't really expect much out of him. What I would like to see is really less of this with little, you know, division and red browning. I would like to see less of this, and I would like to see more of us.
More blue browning,
getting involved in the political process and trying to take over not just the House of Representatives, but our state houses. Did you know that in Nevada, socialists just kicked out, or the entire Democratic Congress? There are socialists running the state house in Nevada.
Democratic socialists,
and that just shows you when people come together to organize and they vote, then real change can get made, and that's what we need to be focused on right now.
Oh, well, maybe we should focus on election integrity, though, because you say that voting matters, but you know, it's no secret that our elections are total crap and it regularly rank dead last among Western democracies. So why haven't the progressives been fighting for election integrity, given the fact that we, thanks to WikiLeaks, have evidence for the 2016 Democratic primary being rigged, and it's pretty obvious that the 2020 primary was also rigged. So why are progressives not talking about election integrity?
There's a group that is sort of ruined election integrity for everyone, and
Really?
And it's one of those issues that I'm going to be really candid right here. It's one of those issues that I think everybody would like to talk about more, but when it comes right down to it, nobody wants to do any of the work to secure free and fair elections. And
it's just not the moment.
Pardon?
It's just not the moment.
Well, there's no energy for it because all of the energy exists on the right. The only people that want election integrity as a major issue on the left are all quasi-fascist, Nazi adjacent shit heels, really.
So you acknowledge that.
Sequoia? Name some names. Sequoia.
Nazi adjacent or Nazi catty cornered?
Nazi collaborators is what I often hear.
Is this real? I mean, if it was catty corner, would it make a difference to you? Like, as opposed to adjacent? If you were like, I suppose it's across the street and down the road, so it's all right and I can deal with it. But if it's like adjacent as in immediately adjacent, like where are we? Like, how is
I like to know where I am. I like to know. I like to know where I am both geometrically and spatially, and sometimes those two intertwine. And here I'm trying to find out exactly where you're locating said subjects, and I'd feel a lot better with a more
well, then I would stop using nonsense words from the 1930s like catty corner.
Oh,
Excuse me.
okay.
So-
But seriously, would
Sequoia,
you like to name some names?
I have a copyright on that word.
Yeah, so
I'll believe that when you show me your degree from Yale.
Okay.
so you acknowledge that Bernie Sanders was cheated in the 2016 election, right?
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody knows that.
Okay, so then how can we make sure that it doesn't happen again? And why do we assume that the Democrats won't do it in the general election? Shouldn't we be fighting for democracy anyway? Like, aren't we supposed to be consistent about it? And also, how are we ever going to get somebody like a progressive to win if we don't have secure elections and we just let them get away with what they did to Bernie Sanders?
So it is almost impossible for Democrats to rig general elections. If you read Greg Palast's work, the general elections are always, every single time a Republican wins, it's always because Greg Palast says they stole the election. And if you look at programs like Interstate Crosscheck and all of the voter certification and purges and his work stands up.
The guy wrote the book
really
how Trump stole 2020.
At that point, when the problem is at the primary level, right? Because if we can just get the right person through the primary, they'll be able to amass an overwhelming force of voters that will just steamroll over any possible Republican rigging.
So
the guy wrote a book called How Trump Stole 2020. How can you cite Greg Palast?
Well, it's only because of strong union leadership and a grassroots coalition of billionaires and media personalities that our elections got fortified and secured to prevent Trump from stealing them. So in a way, Greg Palast's book was sort of the catalyst for this group of individuals to come together to again secure and safeguard the election in the general, which is why it was the safest and most secure election that the United States has ever had, period, full stop.
So you don't think Russia meddled in the 2016 election?
I voted for Bernie. I don't believe in Russia. I don't even think it exists unless we're talking about it in a fantastical way that supports all of my tanky friends' memes and t-shirts, but not any actual.
Okay, so you're using these words, tanky. Like, who do you listen to for information where these words are repeated?
Oh, the whole tanky thing is something I really got off of Twitter. Again, I don't spend a whole lot of time watching I guess YouTube. I check in on a handful of shows, but mostly I read.
What do you read?
Well, I'm currently reading some of Noam Chomsky's collected writings. I am.
He's been really on point lately.
I did just hear. I don't know how Jimmy Dore got him on his show, and fuck that guy, by the way. But I did just hear Noam on Jimmy Dore's show, and he sounded like he was having a wonderful time.
Oh yes, yeah. Noam does have a great time on the Jimmy Dore show. I'm really glad you brought Jimmy Dore up because I'm interested to hear what you think of Jimmy Dore and Force the Vote. Because just what do you think about that, Sequoia?
Well, I think Jimmy Dore sometimes has decent ideas, but I think he's much too angry. And I don't think that someone who is that hostile is is really who we should be taking our political cues from. I don't think that force the vote was necessarily the best idea in that moment. I think that there are a handful of different ways that whole thing could have gone down. But I am really glad that at the end of the day, everyone who argued against that strategy turned out to be vindicated, because clearly not even being in a position where you could use your leverage is enough to get it through the House or the Senate, which again is why we need more progressives fighting for us in Congress.
Well,
So
you
I bet
can
you're a
you
big
can
fan
use
of
your
Nina
leverage. You can use your leverage if you're somebody like Joe Manchin, who's playing both sides of the fence.
Joe Manchin's a freaking like railroad owner from the 1800s. I swear he is. He's like the reincarnated fucking who's a robber baron? Let's just come up with one right now. Pockets penny bags. I don't know.
Pockets McCarnegie.
I mean, let's just, yeah, Carnegie. That what is he, steel or railroads or both?
I believe it was steel.
At any rate, Joe Manchin's a piece of shit. I'm pretty sure we can all agree on that.
Now I'm gonna have to go on Wikipedia, which is always reliable, and find out. So, thanks, Sequoia.
My friend Glory Jones does a great job on Wikipedia. She's a great Wikipedia author, just so you know. Glory Jones is great. You should check her out, Sequoia. Glory's great.
Oh, yeah.
Sequoia would love Glory.
Never heard of her.
So it looks like we're not going to agree on economic strategy here. But what is your stance on this vaccine stuff? Like, do you support that every American should be receiving a vaccine forcefully?
Yeah, I can't believe that people... you know what, dude? I can't even do that bit. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't.
You took it too far, Franco.
I really wanted to talk about it.
For people to hurt themselves even out of comedy. That's not going to happen.
Oh, okay.
Can't do that.
All right. So for people who didn't know, this is Sequoia Morewhite is not really Sequoia Morewhite, but
no.
But he is Steve Poikonen from Slow News Day.
Steve, I love your man bun, my friend, and I'm going I hope Sequoia shows up to DC for real, because I need a selfie with Sequoia.
Oh, yo, dude, that's definitely happening.
Good.
Okay. That is
good.
That is
excellent.
Absolutely
I need that, and I need a jazz hand drew dance, and my life will be good.
Some people were getting mad in the comment section. It's like, what the fuck? Why would you bring this guy up?
I can't like.
I'm so bad at like I couldn't even. I was trying to deadpan it, but it's too funny. I just can't. So I'm surprised I didn't give it away with like my ridiculous giggling. But yeah.
Who wears shirts like that, by the way, man?
I don't know.
Can we?
Kyle Kalinske.
I was gonna say, I want to reiterate that the only people that buy checkered shirts like that would wear it under a suit jacket are the type of people that hire other dudes to come have sex with their wife while they watch.
Well, I would also add mixologists in Brooklyn to that list.
Yeah, that's what I said too.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, Sequoia's fun. We need to have Sequoia on our show. That would be funny.
Well, I'm gonna have to mix it up or come up with something different, because if it's the same dude every time, people are gonna get hip to that pretty quick.
What can you do as would you ever do like a fake like pro Klaus Schwab, pro like Great Reset
that would be funny.
Kind of guy, or no?
Like put on a bald cap and fucking. I actually have one of those. I do.
You can wear your Mega Brain.
I'm not sure what happened to that.
Oh,
the Mega Brain. I'm not sure what happened to it.
Oh my God, you guys! I'm really sorry if you guys can hear my mom's cat. She's super fucking loud. Can you hear her?
I hear her.
Okay, she's nuts. Sorry, sorry. I always get really. My face gets red. Like, holy cow, she sounds like she's dying. She's not.
Hey, if I'm just now looking at the the chat here, Franco. That's
Oh,
fucking
the poor chat.
hilarious.
Yeah, some of them were getting triggered, and then like, can you please? Who is this guy? He's like, can you put a link to his channel? I guess they were about to go troll you or something.
I about lost my shit when you said what'd you say, the secular humanist?
Oh, the rational humanist? Yeah, I was like, yeah, from the leftist best network.
Fuck you for that. You should have told me. I should have been prepared for that, homie.
Why?
Why? Because I about fucking ruined
gave it up
before we even started.
Yeah.
So let's talk about those names. Like, I know this triggers Jesse. Why does the name like secular talk trigger you so much?
This is like the one way you will get Jesse fired up.
Well, if you think about it, the two words together, it doesn't make any sense. What is non-secular talk? Secular talk just means talk. So why not just call your show talk? Non-secular talk, I assume, would be prayer or religion-related dialogue. So Kyle Kulinski is obviously not talking about prayer or religion on his show. So the secular is redundant. It should just be called talk. And I think what really pisses me off about it is not him or the content he puts out so much as the abuse of or misuse of language that makes something like his show sound like something it's really not. It's not revolutionary. It's not, I wouldn't even say adversarial at this point. And I think in this political atmosphere we're all trying to survive in, that language is super important. Narrative is super important, but it has to hew as close as it can to the truth. And how can I take somebody seriously if the name of their show is redundant? Secular talk.
So I think that some of it probably stems from the need for a lot of people who are like center left or just barely left of center to be like so over the top smug in their atheism that they have to like and I think that that's part of it, that why he went that route. Like you're,
it's a hipster thing. Look at me, I'm cool, I'm cool.
It's like one of the, I don't know, like one of those like newly into politics, probably, you probably went from being like agnostic to, if I'm not repugnant about my atheism, my friends will think I'm weird, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that it stems from that.
Yeah.
And again, Kyle Kulinski is trying to be Jimmy Kimmel. Kyle Kulinski is trying to be the first male host of The View. Kyle Kulinski is not here to teach you anything. Kyle Kulinski is here to take your fucking money. So if you're expecting honesty out of a show, don't look at that guy. Don't. I mean, you could be like, yeah, that's a fucking idiot. Oh my God, he looks like he should be selling ecstasy in a shitty fucking Miami nightclub. What the fuck is he doing on TV? That should be what you're thinking. And I agree 100% with your assessment, Jesse Zerwell, who just said that about Kyle Kulinski and not me. I 100% agree with you. I do. But yeah, I mean, I think
a big problem with people, a big problem with those shows too, is that they're not really delving into what they're reporting on as much as they should. There's a lot of obfuscation and omission, and the fact that they have the huge platforms they do, good for them. I'm not jealous about that. I don't care about that until it comes to the fact that such a huge platform is being exposed to just such milquetoast, mealy-mouthed ideas, and that are being pawned off as progressivism or leftist or radical.
Or bold.
Has he ever?
Yeah, you know. I mean, that's the fucking game, dude, and that's why we're here, and that's why we just fucking teamed up with MCSC, because we're going to become the countervailing presence to that. Like we
have
Kevin
to.
Gistola
We're gonna keep those guys in check.
Kevin Gistola told me, just do the work that nobody else is doing. Right. And even if they hate you, they'll have to report on what you're doing because you're the only one doing it. Yeah. Well, in our own ways, we're the only ones that have been doing the shit that we've been doing, especially over at Action for Assange. Like, hands down. You know,
yeah,
there's shit that we've pulled off over there that fucking nobody else was doing, and that people have had to try and catch up to what we were doing in order to fucking compete or surpass such an heavily and easily shadow banned channel, you know? Yeah. So that's what, I mean, that's what we're here for. So, right? That's why we're all here, is to make people understand that you don't have to listen to a non-threatening little beta piece of shit
with
who
a suit
just wants to lie to you and maybe finger bang you and then also take your money.
So what's the deal with people who, you know, they celebrate and defend Kyle just because he talks about Assange like once every 6 months.
Oh my gosh, his stands are unbelievable. There's one who, Steve knows about this, for like a week. She still does it occasionally. People still send me screenshots, but she's laid off a lot since we really went went back at her. But they will defend him to the death. I mean, they will come after you. They will subtweet you for weeks. They'll they'll smear you. It's dude.
But they'll never tag you. They'll never.
No, they never tag you. No, it's all subtweets. It's all very passive aggressive and infantile. But for yes, Kyle Kulinski does occasionally mention Julian Assange, but like Jesse was saying earlier, he doesn't dive into it. It's very surface level coverage. It's very safe coverage. It's like 8-minute videos where he's like, yeah, Julian Assange's extradition was denied. And like, he goes over like the very broad strokes of what just happened, but he doesn't dive into all of the nuances. And this case is unbelievably complicated. There is so much to cover. I mean, we are in like, what is it, Steve? 85 weeks at Action for Assange? 88 weeks at Action for Assange, and we still haven't covered everything that's going on, that has happened and is going on and will happen in the Julian Assange case. There's so much. And so if you're only making 8-minute videos like every couple of months talking about Julian Assange, you're not covering Julian Assange, period. Sorry. You can come after me and you can hate me and you can, defend Kyle. He's not going to sleep with you. Get over it. He's, it's ridiculous how it's the hero worship. It's like we were talking about earlier. It's the same with the politicians. It's all intertwined. It's like this hero worship where these people get put up on pedestals and then they're beyond reproach. You can't criticize them. You can't push them at all. You can, and this is valid criticism. It's not like I'm just making shit up or like calling him anti-Semitic, or whatever. No, I'm literally calling him out for his very obvious weak coverage of the most important press freedom trial or case in history. Like that's not hyperbolic. Like this is legitimately a major story. And if you are in the media business, whether it's independent media or mainstream media, and you're not covering this case, there's something wrong with you. That's news. This is news. It's historic. So there's no excuse. There's just not. So you can come and you can get mad at me, but no, I'm not buying it.
So some people...
here's the thing. And I think that, again, to like bring it back to what we were doing last night, like where we're all sort of headed is trying desperately to rip people out of their fucking partisan bubbles and to look at the things that actually determine policy and that actually determine concepts like governance and who does the actual fucking ruling. because politics and all of our quibbles about it is a giant fucking distraction. And what we're like, to a degree, there's a legitimate elbow you can throw at the local level. Yeah. But that's really the best we get. And even then, like our mayor in Santa Cruz, the one that got elected in 2018, was, backed by the DSA and was living wage and fucking affordable housing fucking zealot. And one of the first things he did as mayor was pass a law to make it illegal to sleep outdoors. Like, and fucking tore down the homeless encampment and shit like that. So, I mean, it's because it's a tourist town that's ran by developers and tech firms. Like, that's the real fucking shit. This is why when we're in DC next week, we're going from Fox and NBC to CNN, and then we're going to Google. Like, when I get back, the fucking first thing that I'm doing is organizing events at YouTube and Google in California. Like, we need to hit the organizations that are actually responsible for the situations that we find ourselves in terms of our economy or our foreign policy or our domestic policy. And unless we're doing that, we're taking people's fucking money to get them hyped up about team sports.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fuck that.
Some people
Fuck
think that Kyle, just because he's marginally better than TYT, that we shouldn't be criticizing him so much or give him some slack. But no, like, it's not enough. Like,
everybody,
it's not enough, right? People are still being misguided if you're giving milquetoast coverage, and we need to address that. We want. It's not enough to just be like, like, have a video up of criticizing the mainstream media and then that's it. That's all you do. You got to go deeper than that. There's a lot of stuff out there that you're not looking into, like the Great Reset, like things like Event 201 and all these other things where these elite class like plan shit out in plain sight. And I don't know what it is. What do you think, that they are just afraid that they're going to be called conspiracy theorists if they dive deep into this, or if they talk about election integrity to a deeper degree?
I know.
Most of these people have a comfortable life now. Most of these people have been able to generate more than enough for themselves, and that's no bullshit. Like, bro, I've been around for a minute and I talk to people that, like, I shouldn't, because they tell me way too much. I am an involuntary therapist, right? Like, I know things and it hurts. Okay. And fucking, once you've achieved that level of comfortability, you now become desperately afraid of losing it. And stepping outside the allowable parameters of discussion, talking about the things that the Ministry of Truth says we are not allowed to talk about, that's the fucking club that they're going to use to beat these motherfuckers into towing the line every single time. And because they lack the fucking, spine, the testicular fortitude, the fucking ability,
cojones,
will to say, okay, man, fuck it, dude, I'll lose some shit to tell the truth, they're going to toe the fucking line. I'm sorry to cut you off, Jesse.
No, that's what makes this Assange
I just said
case
cojones. They lack the cojones.
That's what makes the Assange case so important, though, is because that part of the reason why there's been this decade-long campaign against this one dude, and why they are openly torturing him in a maximum security prison in London, and treating him unbelievably horribly, is because they're hoping it he's the proverbial head on the stake. If you fuck with us, this is what's going to happen to you. So don't step out of line. Don't say anything we don't like. They're hoping to impose this level. It's the chilling effect, this level of self-censorship amongst media where, well, if we talk about that, look what happened to Julian Assange. I don't want to go through that. I'm not going to talk about it. And that's what's happening. And it trickles down. Look at the way that the ramping up of the attacks on journalists and journalism. It's by design. Like they are trying to, it's very much like the kicking people off of Patreon or PayPal or, getting demonetized on YouTube or whatever. I call it, it's almost like economic sanctions on independent media. They're trying
Orbit Report just got taken down. Sorry.
Today?
Orbit Report just got taken down today.
Vanessa Beeley's
and Vanessa
YouTube
Beeley. Yeah, we were going to get into
down.
that. Yeah, we were going to get into
and that. We're Slow News Days going live in 45 minutes too. We've got some like direct quotes and shit like that from some of the people who have been censored from like off book conversations this morning and stuff like that. So but yeah, it's out of hand. Out of fucking hand.
What do you guys say in response to people who are like, oh, you can't expect everybody to cover everything in politics?
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
Stop fucking covering politics, you dumb fuck, and cover something real. You lazy piece of shit. You fucking lazy grifter. Fucking stop. You're setting everybody back. You are hurting everything by doing this.
And as an example,
you lazy piece of shit.
And as an example, Kyle's out here still telling people that the squad is still their allies, and that they're just bad strategists.
Right.
And he's out there giving them, okay, here's a better strategy that they should do. Like, you don't think that they thought of that already? There's something that my friend Jordan from the Yellow Brick Road said. He's like, Kyle doesn't think that these people who studied politics, who are in these positions, haven't thought about these things, these ideas that Kyle is proposing. They thought about it. They're just not gonna rock the boat because they're in it for their career. And he should be honest with his audience about that. He should stop telling his audience that they're just bad strategists, but they're still our allies and that they mean well.
Remember when the Saudis blew up a bus and killed dozens of children in Yemen in 20? Well, they've done it so many times, but I think the time I'm thinking of was in 2019. That was just bad strategy.
Right. It's so gross. And I'm really tired.
It's not bad strategy. It's willful behavior on their part. And as we've been saying, they've gotten to a comfort level that overrules their faculties when it comes to fulfilling any campaign promises they made that have to do with actual human welfare. They'll do the bare minimum. They'll show up. They'll make a voice vote and then lie about it so that they look good while still maintaining their patrician standing. And it would be a joke if it weren't destroying so many people's lives. And I think, again, as we spoke about earlier in the show, we need to very critically deconstruct and rethink the political system we've been living under, because working within the same framework is not going to change anything.
No, it's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous notion. But Franco, the fact that you just said that, what is your response to when people say that you can't cover everything? That drives me crazy, because I get that a lot from people when I talk about Julian Assange and I'm pressuring content creators to cover Julian Assange. Well, or even politicians. Like, I've had people say to me when I've asked like Bernie Sanders or AOC to speak on Julian Assange, what, you just want them to drop everything and focus on Julian Assange? No, I never fucking said that. But this is a massively important issue, and I'm asking them to just speak on it once. Like, just once would be good. Make a statement, like come out strong in defense of press freedom, freedom of speech, and Julian Assange's human rights, and grow a spine and stand up for what's right. Like, that's not asking too much. I have never said that I think Bernie Sanders should be, solely focused on the issues that I'm focused on, or AOC, any of them, none of them. I've never said that. But me asking them to speak on this is a monumental case. It really is kind of a turning point in human history. And the fact that I have to beg progressive politicians and progressive media to cover this or even just mention it is absurd. And that should piss everybody off. Stop making excuses for them. That should piss you off. Be mad about that. It's insane that that's not a thing that people get frustrated about.
I think
So
at
here's something
point,
else that I figured out real quick. I figured this out over the last like year and a half, but I don't even know if I've ever addressed it in terms of why there are some people that get like so fucking eggy when you legitimately criticize another show. And not the ones that like honestly believe that one day they'll be able to like bang this person or whatever. But I mean, there are people that like, there are people like that were brand new. There were people that were brand new that like heard some shit that it kicked in the dopamine a little bit. They heard what they wanted to hear. They liked it. It made them feel good. And so they started supporting the show. And they continued to support the show. And they support the show like we all fucking love the shit out of the people who support our show that way, you know? But now it's protecting an investment. Now you're coming after where they put their money. And now it's like personal on a couple of different reasons, because this is what you've been believing in. This is what you've been financially supporting. And it's like a different level of people feeling attacked when you criticize something that they're financing, essentially. You know, Ron Placone's right, dude. The people are the producers of these shows. Ron just came out and said, this is viewer curated content. You're in the driver's seat. I'm doing the stories. And that was entirely unique in that moment, because everybody else was taking the money and then telling the audience stuff that they all wanted to hear. But Ron legit was like, I'll cover whatever you want me to cover. Just, you know, make sure I see it. And that's how that worked out, you know? So it really is. I mean, it's the audience driving our ability to do these shows. And it's the audience that has a personal, emotional, and in many cases, financial investment in our show and in our success. So I get it. I do. And here's the thing. You don't get a win all the time. You don't get to make a safe bet every single time. Sometimes you have to take your fucking losses. Nobody's fucking passing out a fucking participation trophy for good content creation or anything like that. You know, nobody is. That's not gonna happen. And fucking it. If you feel like you've got too much invested in an individual content creator to like just walk away, bro,
Walk away.
Fucking sack up. Like, take your fucking lumps.
They need
do it. You'll feel so much better. Yeah. Like 10 minutes later, like you'll be like, "Fuck, dude."
Gotta
just
crash
don't
before
get
you
that.
burn.
Like
that was some shit, you know. And then you can just sort of come back. Yeah, sorry.
Well, yeah, just stop getting that invested. Like, listen, I love everybody that watches Facts on the Ground or Action for Assange or Slow News Day or, you know, all of our view. Like, I love all of those people, and I'm very grateful for anybody that supports me. But please don't get so invested in like Facts on the Ground that you start lionizing me and thinking that I'm like somehow above criticism or that I'm always right. Or like I've had people say that on Twitter. Oh, you never miss. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm not perfect. Please don't ever think that I am. I've told you guys many times, like I get very uncomfortable by the fact that I'm lumped in as like some kind of journalist. I'm not a journalist, y'all. I'm just some chick in Ohio who has a webcam and cool friends and opinions. That's really it. I'm going to get things wrong. I'm going to fuck up. I'm going to piss you off. I'm going to say things you don't like, and that's fine. And I would hope that at some point we can be adult enough to be like, hey, I don't always agree with that person, but sometimes I do. And so I'm going to support them in some way. You know what I mean? Like tips on Rockfin or whatever. Like if one of our episodes like really strikes a chord with you, throw a tip at us, but like, I don't like when people get, it's one of my biggest pet peeves is when people get so emotionally invested in, it's the same, like, again, with politicians, stop with the like celebrity worship kind of stuff. These are all human beings you're dealing with. Nobody's perfect. None of us is perfect. We're all going to fuck up and make mistakes and have bad days. And that's just reality. So, I mean, yeah, it's just this weird, I think people are just, especially now, like the time that we find ourselves in, people are very desperate for somebody to save them, to like be the hero. And so they latch on to these personalities that, you know, struck a chord in them in some way or at some time. And then it's like they're hanging on for dear life. Like, this person can help me. No, you have to help yourself. You really do. You have to.
Yeah. And some people need to realize also.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, some people need to remember also, what was it that initially attracted you to this content creator or journalist that you're I don't know, hero worshiping? It's because they were revealing truths that, you know, it's uncomfortable for some normies to process. And so don't just stop there. Take it a step further. They're not going to be perfect. They're not going to be right on anything, on everything. So there's going to be some truths that are revealed that show how they're lacking in certain areas. And so be open to that. Like, it doesn't stop there. Don't be a half measurer and just think that just because they revealed some truths about something, like they revealed some truths about Russiagate or forced to vote, it's not going to just stop there. Okay, there's more truths out there that content creator is not going to be aware of. And you're going to have to be open to it. You know, the journey for the truth is going to keep going. It goes a lot deeper than you think.
Yeah, I agree. And just to go back to what you were saying about people waiting for a hero or a savior, that's millenarianism is the proper term for that. And we saw that undoubtedly with the Mueller investigation and Russiagate. Mueller and his retinue of lawyers were supposed to save us from Trump, supposed to come out with the great truth, the compromise, the business deceptions, et cetera, et cetera. And what came of that? Nothing but waiting and waiting for nothing, which I think all four of us here knew was what was coming down the pipeline, as I said before. This little office lingo. But it's a problem, I believe, among the American polis, the American citizenry that votes, is this need for somebody to step in and, if not change everything for the better, then change a lot of things for the better. We saw it during Obama's first election, and it's a cultural, psychological force that I don't think is going to go away anytime soon. And that's problematic in a lot of ways we could get into. But
is what you're talking about also, can it be called hopium?
Well, what is that? The first time I heard that used was yesterday when Glory was saying it. So.
Really? The first time I heard that used was at a Grateful Dead parking lot in like 1991.
Damn.
Yeah, it's weird, dude. It's weird. Like, there's shit that like hopium that I've heard that word for I guess 30 years now.
Wow.
That people have just, started saying like all fucking over again. The whole fuck around and find out thing, a decade ago, that was on a banner in our yard.
Yeah, I remember that one.
As a fucking just a general message to the people that would come, because we had a 60 by 80 tarp up overhung in the trees so we could play live music during the winter. We live in a rainforest, so it was like basically a outdoor music venue that you could play at in the rain. But shit kicker mountain town, people get out of line a little bit, and so you needed to have a sign that said and so it happened a few times and people found out, and then they stopped fucking around, and it was great.
A lot of people had their hopes up on MPP because their favorite content creator was propping it up. And now a lot of truths are coming out about the dysfunctions within the organization and the mistreatment of the volunteers. And Steve, you saw this coming like over a year ago, I think.
I saw this
And
coming
then,
5 years ago. And yo, dude, look, I know there's some other show hosts in the chat right now. I know there's some other people that are gonna watch this. Trust my instincts. I mean, just get used to that. Just get used to that. Trust my instincts. Because I've been right about all this shit. Like from day fucking one. I was fucking called exactly every fucking move the squad was going to make before they fucking did it. Trust my fucking gut. Do that. You should. And I know nobody's gonna, because they never fucking do. And I tell you flat the fuck out. Didn't I tell you, Franco, exactly what was gonna fucking happen?
It's coming out. Yeah. And some people, you know, I understandably, they feel hurt because they had a lot of their hopes on it. Because a lot of people still believe a lot in electoral politics, and they think that a third party will succeed and take down the duopoly if enough of us support it. But as I said in my video where I was, you know, discussing what's going on with MPP, a third party has to evolve from a coalescence of movements. One of those movements, most importantly, has to be the election integrity movement. Or it has to bring a bunch of people together, because how will a third party succeed with all these suppressions, especially with HR1, which just passed? Like, it's impossible, especially if the people who are in charge have no idea what they're doing. And it's revealing more and more that they have no idea what they're doing. It's just people that wanted to start a third party for clout.
The people pushing third parties never talk about election integrity. Ever. It's
something we're considering.
Nobody talks about it.
That's all they say.
No, it's, you know, election. They'll like buzzword it, you know, every once in a while, but they have no plan on dealing with our elections or no, absolutely not. And it's anybody that thinks that you're going to be able to work within the current electoral system and make any progress whatsoever is fooling themselves. It is beyond repair. There's no reforming this. There's no voting your way out of it. It's done. Like, it's done. Please, please, please stop working within the electoral system. Like, again, like Steve said, I think earlier, some local shit. Yeah. Okay. I could see, you know, getting involved in some local shit, because you can, on like ballot measures and school boards and stuff like that, you can potentially make a difference in your local community. So I'm not like, don't take this as I'm saying, you know, distance yourself entirely from, you know, electoral politics. But as far as like federal electoral politics and like even state, it's so gone. It's beyond repair. You just can't. The corruption is way too thick, and you cannot change their game playing by their rules. You know, they'll just change the rules. They've shown that over and over again. Every time you think that you're gonna, you know, you get a little bit of headway, they just change the rules, and you know, it's ridiculous to think that you're going to. I mean, I don't know how anybody could have witnessed 2016 up until now and think that that's possible still. What kind of mental gymnastics do you need to perform in order to think that that's an option still? It's I don't get it.
Oh, Miss Jessie, we can't hear you.
Oh, yeah, you're muted.
Sorry,
homie.
I muted myself while I got up. But we can see it again in the language that the current administration is using. I'll go back to that Hill article I referenced earlier, which you sent along to us, Franco. And this is from the article. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that Biden will deliver his first primetime address to the nation on Thursday night to commemorate the 1-year anniversary since businesses and schools began closing down in an effort to contain the pandemic, and terms like social distancing became part of the American lexicon. What is there to commemorate about that? And it's not just the language, it's what the language implicates about these like factitious excellencies of government ceremonies. They mean nothing.
Bro, wait till you start reading national security white papers and shit.
Oh, I do.
I'd be like, you should read the NSC AI final report. I'll send it to you. It's what we're about to dive into for the next like week.
Cool.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun, Steve. Thanks for that.
Yeah, but before
I'm reading 286 pages of the National Security Council on artificial intelligence's final report to the White House.
Why do we hate ourselves so much to do this? For real though, like
because nobody else is doing the fucking work.
Yeah.
And then you have Joe.
This is the important shit.
I know.
And then you have Joe Manchin, who is behind the reduction to $300 for weekly unemployment, and he said apparently that he'll block a climate and infrastructure package if Republicans don't have any input in the 50-50 Senate. So this is we're dealing with people who deal in a reality that exists solely in their head and maybe within the Beltway. And there's no rational reckoning with these people. They don't have our backs. They don't have our backs. They're not going to divert from business as usual. And
why would they? There's no incentive for them to do so. Yeah, that's the thing is there's no reason for them to do that. We've given them no reason. They have no reason to fear us. They have no reason. Everybody's just going to keep voting in the, for the lesser.
I heard some people, so like other content creators say we should still be donating to the squad despite this behavior that they're showing. Like the right is brave enough to withhold their vote from stuff, but nobody on the left is ever willing to do it.
Okay, I'm not going to be that mean.
Why even why would you keep supporting that? But yeah,
doesn't Ocasio-Cortez have a merch store?
Yeah, she does. Yeah,
enough surplus income.
How ironic is that she's selling "Eat the Rich"? She's selling
T-shirt that says "Eat the Rich."
Yeah, how ironic is that?
Tax the rich.
Also, the designs on those shirts and sweatshirts are fucking hideous. And doesn't she have enough surplus income at this point? That we don't need to donate to her or the rest of the squad, the police squad. Progressive.
I'm not donating to any politician that's running within the duopoly ever. I said that a long time ago. I broke my rule twice in the 2020 presidential election because I donated I think $5 to Tulsi and $5 to Mike Gravel, however you say his name. People say it differently, but that was just to help them get on the debate stage because I really wanted to see everybody on the debate stage. And I should be upfront about the fact that I did also buy Mike Gravel merch because he had awesome merch, like a hat that says "Send Dick Cheney to the Hague" and the Pentagon Papers rolling papers. I had to have those. I'm not apologizing for that. Sorry. That had to have them.
Wait, what are
those? I once bought a pack of Jeff Sessions rolling papers.
Nice.
Had Jeff Sessions smoking a joint on the package. Yeah.
Nice. The Pentagon Papers ones are pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty cool. You can't blame me for that. That was pretty cool.
No, hell no.
Yeah.
Yo, guys, before we close off, I do want to bring this up because it's important, and I think it'll be a good topic to close off on. So you guys definitely saw this already. Whitney Webb posted this. She said, "Patreon has moved to suspend my account due to alleged misinformation, but they have been unable to give me a single example of misinformation, instead leaving that part of the email completely blank." And then she was urging her supporters to support her on Rockfin, where you can find her unlimited hangout podcast. And then today, Vanessa Beeley reports that YouTube has removed her channel. And then she called it fascist book burning, which is an accurate phrase to call this. But it's really, it's not unbelievable to me at this point, but it's completely disgusting. And more people need to be talking about this. And if you're a content creator, you have to bring Whitney Webb and Vanessa Beeley on your show to not only talk about this unjust behavior by these tyrants in big tech, but also the amazing work that they do.
Yeah, and I think we have to highlight too the work that Whitney and Vanessa have been doing, the topics, if you will, cliche word, but the topics they've been covering, the subjects, Syria, for example, the gas attack in Duma in 2018, it's still super contentious, especially among geopolitical circles, if you will. And the OPCW leaks added onto that. That's information, that's truth, in my opinion, that is diametrically opposed to the goals of mega corporations like YouTube and Google and Twitter. And that's why they're primarily trying to censor it. It's not that they don't care about Syrian people. They don't care about us even, but they care about extracting revenue from our content in a way that also tries to dictate what is polite politics and what's taboo. And I think that's what we've been seeing for the past several years now.
I'm really tired of people saying, but they're a private company. They can do whatever they want. Fuck off. These people have a direct through line to our government. They own our government. Our government is corporate owned by Google, owned by Facebook. Like, this isn't, some conspiracy theory. That's real life. Our country is run by corporations. And so the fact that,
Twitter
Facebook
disappeared the president.
Yes, but the fact that Facebook has, a working relationship with something like the Atlantic Council, and they're the ones making decisions over what is misinformation or disinformation, what you're allowed to see, what is dangerous to our elections. And, this is insane that we are allowing these corporations, companies, whatever you want to call them. This is it is literal fascism, what's happening. And so, you have a lot of people running around calling all of us fascist, or, the fash fam, or whatever the new names that they come up with us for, which is always really funny to me when people call free speech activists fascists.
I'm a fashionista.
I know, right?
It's pretty funny.
Nine.
I think more people need to be calling out Patreon too. Because of what they just, I think more people need to be calling out Patreon because of what they just did to Ryan Christian of The Last American Vagabond and Whitney Webb. I deleted my Patreon recently. I understand that some content creators receive a lot of money from there, but they can ease their way and tell their audience members about what just happened and how, I'm giving this set amount of time before I transition all the way to Rockfin. Please start supporting me there if you can, because Patreon is tyrannical.
Telling people that for like a year, to if they supported me on Patreon, to drop it and do that over on Rockfin. And then when Ryan called me the morning that he found out, I was like, oh, hey, let me call you back. And then I went and I deleted our Patreon, and then I called him back. Like, okay, now what?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that
but like, yeah, dude,
this is another reason why I'm glad that we've all kind of joined forces under MCSC, because like I said earlier, there's strength in numbers. And the censorship that we're all facing, like Jesse and I haven't been super impacted by it because we've never attempted to monetize our YouTube page. We just recently started a Patreon that I never talk about. We never ask for money. Like somebody asked, is there some place? And I'm like, I guess I can make one.
I don't even know where to find it.
I'm not even sure if I know how to log into it. Like, I don't know. Like, we're not, like, that's never been for us what this has been about. I mean, at some point, would we like to, get new equipment and stuff? Sure. But, that's never been what this is about. So we haven't really been affected by it, but it's only going to get worse for everyone, for all of us. And so the fact that we're banding together is really important.
You get censored. I mean, you get censored and suppressed just because of what you talk about.
Yes, for sure.
Like, I don't know where you guys are in terms of people on Rockfin, but like, I just checked today,
like 600, I think.
We're I mean, we're like 1,000 subscribers from lapping YouTube, passing it.
Yeah.
And
no, we've shot up on Rockfin. Like, it took us Well,
Looking right now, actually.
Yeah, when I joined Jesse on the show, like Mayish, I think, we had like 42 subscribers, and from then until now, I mean, we've managed to get like, I think it's like 1,300 or something. But on Rockfin, we've only been on Rockfin, I don't even remember, a couple months, maybe, right,
Yeah.
Steve? Maybe. And we already have like over 600 subscribers on Rockfin.
Yeah,
so,
because YouTube isn't getting in the way.
We're at 633 right now.
yeah.
Because YouTube's not getting in the way.
And for our little show, like we don't do like you guys do like daily live streams or, you know, like multiple times a week or what. We don't do that. We usually just do like long form pre-recorded interviews, at least for now. And as we're feeling our way through it. So, I mean, the fact that we've been able to get over 600 subscribers on Rockfin without like regular, consistent content, I think that really does speak to the fact that YouTube is 100%, you know, kind of holding us back. And Rockfin, like we're flourishing on Rockfin, like it's so fast, so much faster.
The growth is way faster because it's more fair. So if you haven't made a Rockfin account yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Make one. It's the best way you can support us.
And it's free. I mean, if you want to endorse somebody's show for $9.99 a month, then you get like people who do premium content, then you get access to literally everybody. So you can choose your favorite show, endorse them monthly, and then you get access to everybody. Steve, Franco, Nico, Combo Couch, all of us. So, which I think is pretty cool. And they are, I mean, we've only been on Rockfin for a couple, maybe a few months or whatever. But it is 100% better than YouTube. There's no censorship. We don't have to worry about, any of the things that we're saying because, you know, we do talk about controversial stuff and, Steve's right. We get censored, like even if it's not financially because we aren't monetized, we are still getting censored and, you know, shadow banned and all of that crap. So,
well, and the other show that you do, Misty, is fucking like brutally.
Was that Fuck Your Faves?
No, Action for Assange, but Fuck Your Faves is fun. And so anytime anybody wants me to come on for a Fuck Your Faves with Comrade Mindy, I'm down because that was so much fun. It felt like therapy. Steve laughed because I came with a list, but I came with a fucking list. I was ready. And we didn't even get to like half of the people I wanted to bitch about. So
we should do a Fuck Your Faves facts on the ground episode.
I know. I thought about just like recording like 20-minute segments of me like going off and just posting them. Because sometimes and it's not like I love like ranting with other people too. But then sometimes like my rants get diverted because like Lori will start ranting and then I forget what I was ranting about. And then I start ranting about what she was ranting about. And then so sometimes I just need to like focus in, I think. But and I want to get Fiorella on one. I would love to rant with Fiorella. That would be fun for me.
I already talked to Fee about that. She said that good. I'm not allowed to do one again
without her.
So
Okay, that's the rules. Let's do it, Poikinen. Yeah. Make it happen.
All right, there you guys have it. Steve, I know you have to run for
man bun for her though.
I know you have a show coming up soon.
Yeah, we pushed it back to 5:15 because Glory's live on Medhurst right now talking about our events next week.
So nice.
She's on Richie's channel for the next 15 or 20 minutes. She was recently on Fault Lines, and somebody's got to talk to those guys.
I love that they say that like the events are organized by Misty Winston and Glory Jones.
They will.
Steve Poikinen doesn't exist in their mind.
Not. It is physically impossible for them.
I shouldn't talk about this because they won't invite me back. But like next time, I'm going to make it a point to say your name.
Steve Poikinen. Yeah. I mean, like,
I say Action for Assange.
I need to talk about Combo Couch more, but they cannot do it. They are fucking.
I make sure to say Action for Assange every time I'm on there. But next time I'm going to make it a point to somehow slip your name in there somehow, some way, some fashion, because
Tony watches closely. It's Mindy's list, not Misty's list. Mindy's list. Yeah.
Shout out to Pasta who calls me Mindy, which is funny. Boomer.
What if the only reason they don't mention you is because they don't know how to pronounce your last name?
No, bro.
No, that's not it.
I promise you that's not it.
That's not it.
Mindy.
And that's a story for another day, kids.
Yeah.
So what can we do to push these other content creators to do a better job?
I'm not sure, but if
call them
you're
out
anywhere in the
publicly.
Washington D.C. area next Wednesday or Thursday, come out and see us. We will be at the Fox, NBC, and C-SPAN building at noon. We're gonna march to CNN, and then we'll be joined by Fee and Pasta and Johnny Hollywood for the fuck censorship protest, and then we will march to Google. And then the following day we'll be at the Department of Justice. So if you're anywhere near DC, come out and do that. If you're not, go check the Candles for Assange Twitter account to see if there is an event near you. And if there isn't, fuck it, go host one.
BYOP, be your own protest. Do it. Get out there. Make a sign, stand on a street corner. I know that sounds bad, but do it. And I've also, just so you guys know, if you haven't seen, I've been trying, I'm not very good at it, but I've been trying to organize a way to kind of matchmake Assange supporters, because I know that like getting involved in activism is kind of daunting, especially if you're not really familiar with it or have never done it before. And so it's always easier with friends, like buddy system, right? So if you tweet at me and tell me what area you live in, you don't have to be specific. If you just want to say, I live in the Dallas area, or I live in the Boston area, which we have a Boston crew, they're amazing. But yeah, if you tweet at me and tell me what area you're from, I don't have a massive Twitter following, but I'll retweet that and try to find other people in your area that you can connect with. Maybe start like a group DM or something. And then eventually maybe you guys can start organizing your own events in your own towns. Because that's where we have to go with this. We really have to, we say it all the time on the vigils, it's going to take mass public pressure to do anything really. So yeah, if you tweet at me with your location, I can try to help you find some buddies so that you can get involved in your local area if you can't make it to DC. But if you can make it to DC, please make it to DC. It's fun. It's a good time. We are a joy to be around, really.
That sounds like Derek Bros' Freedom Cells, where he tries to connect people to who live close to each other. Like it's like an app or something.
It's like a networking. Yeah, we need stuff like that. We need to start reaching out to each other. On a personal level.
We're gonna be able to do that on Mastodon like really, really, really soon too. And I can't wait.
I gotta get on there.
Holy fuck!
I'm on there, but I don't know how to work it, so I never go on there. Like, I'm really bad at technology, and
there's a Scoop Gang.
I'm really bad at all of this, actually.
Scoop Gang.
Oh, okay. Oh, of course there is. But yeah, I'm really bad at kind of all of this stuff. I can like put on a decent rant, but everything else is terrible.
So speaking of fault lines, I've been getting messages from people saying, "Hey, Jamal Thomas needs an intervention." You guys agree?
I mean,
oh yeah, catch me commenting on that. Fuck you, Franco.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, I would like to be invited back to Fault Lines, Franco, so that I can talk about Julian Assange.
Why in particular are people saying that?
For Jamal Thomas?
Yeah.
I think the audience knows, and if you're an audience member, you can let the other audience members that don't know. But yeah.
I really don't want to touch that, honestly. And it's not like because I want to get back on Fault Lines, but they let me talk about Julian Assange, and that's important.
Okay.
I'd like to go back.
Well, their analysis of his situation needs help.
I'm in the dark here.
So it's good. It's good that Misty and it's good that Glory get to go on Fault Lines, because not until they get new hosts am I ever going back to that show.
It's cool that they have Glory and I. Like, I'm very grateful. I honestly am very grateful that they let me come on and talk about Julian Assange or anybody. Like, it doesn't have to be me. I say this all the time. There are way cooler people than me that you could talk to, but please just talk about Julian Assange. Seriously.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I've actually, speaking of content, and I know we got to go pretty soon, but speaking of content creators who don't cover Julian Assange, I have on multiple occasions put out tweets saying that if you are a content creator, big, small, I don't care, left, right, I don't care. If you want to cover Julian Assange, I will help you. I don't have a lot of pull. I don't know a lot of people. I have some connections, but not a lot. But I will do whatever I can to find you a really amazing and knowledgeable guest to talk about the Julian Assange case. I will help you do that. All I'm asking is that you cover Julian Assange. So if you have a show, I don't don't care if you have 52 subscribers. I don't care if you have 52,000. I don't care. If you will cover Julian Assange and you want help finding somebody to talk to who knows what they're talking about and would make it a very good and informative guest, I will 100% help you do that. 100%. I'm on board. Let's go. Do it.
Yeah. And one of
like,
the best,
hit me up.
One of the best ways, I think, to show solidarity with WikiLeaks and Julian Assange is to actually go to WikiLeaks and read the documents that they've published. It's an eternal task, obviously not something you can accomplish in even a week, unless you have some really good Adderall or something, but even then probably not. But reading the documents they've exposed and the way they've ordered them and the meticulousness they've taken to curate these documents, if you will, I think is, if you haven't done it, I encourage you to do it. And it's a very huge way to learn about, you know, not just WikiLeaks, but Julian Assange and his principles of real journalism.
All right, guys, 100%. I got to bounce.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on. You can find Steve Poikinen on Slow News Day, the Slow News Day channel. You can find Misty Winston and Jesse Zerwell on Facts on the Ground. And we are all a part of the MCSC network. Thank you all very much for watching, and don't forget to stay informed. Thanks, guys, for coming on.
Thank you.